You guys.
Hello.
This is Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two girls, one ghost. And we are your ghostesses. That's Corinne. And I'm Sabrina. And we have guests today in this episode.
A collab.
It's a collab with our long-term kind of distant friends that we've known of each other and talked to each other, always been fans of each other.
Social media friends that forgot that we weren't in-person friends. And so when we met, we honestly could have started this recording an hour before we clicked record, because it was just instantly like we're all together and we're having a great time in Boston.
In person.
Recording from a bank vault with Ash and Alaina.
It was a very cool studio. Part 2 of this will come out on Morbid's feed. And this is part 1. And we decided to do hometown haunts. So we kind of we're getting to know each other's hometowns, which was really fun.
So fun.
And Corinne and I actually went to visit the spot that you talk about in part 2, which is on Morbid's feed, when we were in Boston. I feel like we just met our soul sisters and we got along so well. We were already talking about what the next things we're going to do together are.
They're so spooky too. The amount of stories that they have and all of the spooky topics that they've been covering lately, we're just obviously Two Girls, One Ghost. We like ghost stories, so
of course.
We're into the ghost stories.
We're in. So if you don't already listen to Morbid, which I feel like everyone in the world listens to Morbid, go listen to them. Also, make sure you listen to part 2 when it comes out on, I believe it's on Halloween, October 31st. But until then, enjoy part 1 of our crossover with Morbid. We're just so excited about it. It's just very fun. Eek. Please enjoy.
Enjoy.
Hey.
Happy Halloween to all of us, because we get to sit here across from Ash and Alaina from Morbid.
Yes. And we're sitting across from Corinne and Sabrina from Two Girls, One Ghost.
And we are in a vault, a bank vault.
We're literally recording from a bank vault.
Which is so cool.
The coolest.
I know that this existed.
Not me.
Not me.
Avery.
Not me.
Okay, what would you guys do if we got stuck in here?
I feel like we have to all put our hands in the middle and do the pile of hands, 1, 2, 3, go! Woo! Bank vault. Not me, not me, not me.
What happened if we got stuck in here?
Well, Sabrina. Well, we already know the toilet doesn't flush here, so
So there you go.
There's already problems.
We would become a ghost.
We would become ghosts.
And then we would have a whole new shtick.
Yes.
I know.
Just haunt a ton of people.
Okay, well, our first question for you guys.
Because anytime we have anyone on our show, the first question we have to ask is...
Well, number 1, do you believe in ghosts?
Absolutely.
And do you see dead people?
I have before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us, please.
Tell
Go
all.
on.
So let me get comfortable here.
Yeah.
Let me just get all comfy. Mine are weird. So the first ghost that I ever saw was in Alaina's room when I was little.
Yeah.
And me and my mom lived there at my grandparents' house. And I was sleeping in bed one night. And I woke up and there was a little boy sitting next to my bedside table.
Oh.
And he had these weird pants on. They were plaid, but they were old timey pants and
trousers.
The newsboy. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was picturing.
And
yeah.
he had one of those newsboy hats on, and he was reading my mom's book. So I
What?
woke my mom up.
Reading your mom's book.
Reading my mom's
touching
book.
a physical, tangible item.
Had it open, reading
What
it.
was the book?
Probably a Daniel Steele novel or something like that.
I was picturing 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, it was a long time ago.
Something that a little boy would read. Daniel Steele.
Yeah. Some weird romance novel.
Yes.
But so I wake my mom up and I'm like, hey, ghost. And she's like, no, it's fine. Go to bed. But then I woke up the next morning and her book was she had left it on the bedside table or the bureau or something. And when she woke up, it was lodged beneath, in between the closet where he was sitting in front of. And I was like,
Oh, I just got
Wait, so he lives in the closet then,
Most
I don't
ghosts
know.
do. Closets,
thought
attics,
so.
basements,
right?
bathtubs.
Wait, so was he solid looking?
Yeah, he looked definitely solid. I mean, I was 5, so that was 21 years ago. But, right? Did I math there?
Oh, you're asking the
I
wrong
don't know.
person.
It was a long
yeah,
time
that
ago.
sounds great. 21 years ago, sure.
But I feel like he was gray. I remember him being grayish.
Did you make eye contact?
Yes.
Oh.
Ooh.
And she told me this right after it happened.
Yeah.
She was little.
Wait, but it was in
told me
your
this,
bedroom.
And it was in my bedroom. I slept through the entire thing.
Did
Apparently.
you ever see the little boy?
Well, I never saw him, but my parents' house was always haunted. It's like a super old house I grew up in.
Like
so,
1800s.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
cool.
even before that, to be honest.
Our dream.
Oh, yeah. I love my parents' house. And it's still like super spooky.
Does it
and
have one of the
haunted.
plaques?
It doesn't have one of the plaques,
established.
but it's only because they don't want to get one because then they have to go on like the historic register.
Yeah.
And then they can tell you what to do with your house.
Yeah,
and my
they
parents are
control
like,
it.
No. Like, I'm doing what I
Right.
want.
We'll put whatever new windows we want.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because my mom wants to paint like the railings purple and stuff.
she
She's
is.
like, let's-
Ooh.
Hey,
yeah.
fun.
purple is a historic color.
Exactly.
There you go.
And she's
Still
like,
goes.
she loves a purple moment, so
Great.
she's not gonna have anyone tell
I
her
love
no.
that.
But it was always haunted, and that room in particular is like I think it was like my parents knocked down a wall between two rooms, and those rooms were in the original part of the house, so they were like very old part of the house because they like added on to the house and all that.
Right.
But that room in particular, I remember walking into it one day, and my dad's an electrician, so he would set everything up so that like you flicked on a light and everything in your room went on.
Right.
And one night I went to go in and I flicked on the light and nothing turned on, and I was like, oh, like a fuse blew or something.
Yeah.
So I walked in really quick just to get something in the dark, and then I like noticed that a plug was unplugged, like a lamp, and I was like, that's weird. And I like plugged it back in and like turned on the light, and the light flicked on. And I was like, and I look around and everything that was plugged in my room was unplugged.
Ew. Oh, I hate that.
I've heard this story a million times, and every time I'm like, oh.
Okay,
It's like,
wait.
what was your purpose? Why
that's
did
the
you?
thing.
The
Why
one
did you want it
thing
dark?
we've heard stories where people have come home to the same situation, but if like I don't know, I kind of feel like it was a ghost protecting. Like, what if there would have like been like an outlet spark, and then if it was plugged in, a fire would have happened.
That's what I kind of feel because
A
I
little
never
divine
felt
intervention sort of
like
thing.
a
Maybe
malevolent
saved.
energy.
Right.
Like, even at that moment, I was like, why'd you do that? Like, I was like, why did you do that? Like, I didn't even feel, I was like, that
You
was
little
just weird.
trickster.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay.
And
And
I
I just
oh, I
plugged
missed my
everything
old
back
kerosene lamps. Like,
Yeah.
what's with these new electricity?
Yeah.
What's that?
He's like, come
I didn't
back.
have that.
Come back to the old times. It was way
Right?
better then.
Oh gosh.
But yeah, so it was never, that place was never like, it never felt like something was like bad there. But you could hear like footsteps going up it was like
Like
an
the
old
creaky-
dirt cellar. You would hear
Oh.
boot footsteps hitting the steps. And
Yep.
actually one night my sister heard it, kept hearing it going up and down the
Oh my
stairs. And she
gosh.
yelled, please stop. And it stopped. And it didn't
So
happen
creepy.
again.
Wow.
So
Hey, they're
fascinating.
respectful.
yeah, I think
That's
he was like,
nice.
oh, I'm sorry. Like,
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
know I was freaking anyone
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, there was a good energy in that house
That's
because there were
nice.
times where like I would be there alone, but like I felt like I wasn't alone, but not in like a weird, creepy,
Right.
scary
Right.
way.
Like in a comforting
Like I
way.
felt protected.
That's how I felt growing up too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Had like a mom and a son spirit,
Oh, I love
so it felt safe.
Yeah.
At a
that's
certain
very
point.
comforting.
There's certain.
There are certain things that
I feel like
get
it's
dark,
like, you know, every house has its moments where it
Oh,
does
yeah.
feel nice, and then there's those one-offs
Yeah.
where like spirits will come through and
Yeah.
terrify you.
Because
Yeah,
we
for
definitely
a
had
moment.
those moments too.
Yeah.
Where it was like,
Right.
okay.
There was
Yeah.
another room in the house that definitely like all the yucky energy came from that
Yeah.
room, and now I'm wondering, since you said that, like was it like some weird portal or something?
Interesting.
Yes.
Because it was one room
Right.
that was like the weird stuff would happen in.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else was very
Interesting.
comforting.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was
That
the
is-
weird stuff?
Like one was I was
God, this
walking
is
when I was in
scary.
like high school, I think it was. Or no, it must have been like junior high because it was when like the internet was like, whoa, the internet.
MySpace.
Yeah, it was
I had
AIM.
like Dust in the
It was
Wind
like-
as my music, and I had a little dancing alien on my
Yes.
page.
And you learned HTML just
Oh my
to-
gosh, we were
you
web
were
designers.
coding. We
Yeah.
were coding back then. But this was like AIM, like when you got the AOL CD in the mail and you got like
Yes.
Oh
53
my
hours
gosh.
of 50 free hours of AOL and
Right,
yeah.
dial up.
So we
You
had
just
like
sit
the
there for 10
computer
minutes
room.
listening to like,
oh yeah, that like
Oh,
Yeah.
awful noise.
Oh, I don't know why that like kind of gives me comfort.
the sound of
I
our
play it to go to
childhood.
sleep.
it's like a snuggly feeling,
Yeah.
right? And you would try to sneak on and like at like a late time at
Right.
night, and you would always get caught because of that.
Because
Like,
it's so loud. Yeah.
but my parents had that computer room that everyone had,
Yes.
and they would like lock that computer room at a certain time so you could not go.
Oh my gosh.
But I was getting my last moments of that computer room, and it was at the end of the hall, and it went past the room that all like the crazy stuff.
The room
happens.
where it happens.
the room where it happens.
Yeah. The room
exactly.
where it happens.
Yes.
Precisely.
Hamilton.
Oh, I love Hamilton.
Right.
But I was walking by there to go to the computer room, and the door was shut of that other room. As I walked in front of it, it sounded like somebody took their fists or took like a chair and slammed it against the door hard enough that my dad heard it, my mom heard it, and was like, "Are you okay?"
But
like,
you were
what the
right
hell?
there.
I was walking. It was when I walked right in front of the door. I shot myself back onto the wall. It scared me so much.
Gosh.
And then I just like tore into the other room. But my dad opened the door because I was like, "What just happened?" Opened the door. Nothing had fallen against the door.
Nothing out of place.
There was nothing out of place.
Oh,
and it
But
sounded
that
like
scares
someone
me
hit
so
the door.
much because that's so much aggression and energy forcefully, obviously directed at you.
That one felt
and it's
scary.
Like, it's like what is the line between that just being like a warning and it actually picking something up and hitting you one day?
That's what I was thinking. That was the only time that I was actually scared.
Terrified.
And you know,
scared
like when you
me.
get like in addition to that being a physical like threat, you get a gut feeling if it's negative. And
yeah,
bad.
I was like, that's not
yeah.
good. Like I won't even go in that room now. I'm like,
I hate
I'm
that
like,
room.
heard ya, won't do it. I'm
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
out.
So
Yeah.
creepy.
So
I
that's
used
the
to
room you
sleep
definitely
there.
don't play a Ouija board in.
No,
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 hell
definitely
no.
not.
Ash is very against Ouija boards.
Yeah.
Oh, we are too.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. We're
Okay,
like,
yeah,
hell
we're
no.
like no.
Yeah, I don't
No.
fucks with
Have
a
you
Ouija
ever?
board. No, never.
Okay, me neither.
I have two friends who have had like absolutely horrific experiences
Yeah.
with Ouija boards, and my friend who had like the more recent one, it was terrifying. So I don't mess with those at all.
You should have your friend on your podcast.
I know. That's a good
Hear
idea.
their
Yeah,
story,
should.
right?
Tell
It's like
me a
Ouija board's
story.
gone wrong.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, we get a lot of people because we always talk about like our rejection of Ouija
Yeah.
boards, and there's a lot of people that come forward and they say like Ouija boards aren't bad. It's how you play it. And it's like, okay, well, the reality is they're like these glow-in-the-dark boards that are being pumped out by Toys R Us and directed at like 5-year-olds. Like,
Yeah.
who do you think is reading the instructions
Right.
or doing extra effort to research how to properly like start your space, close the board, and protect yourself? Like, most people playing don't know what's going on.
And also, let's add to the fact that you're playing with multiple people.
Yup.
Like, you know, we might say, like, we have good intentions or we don't want to open up to anything negative, but, like, then someone else you're playing with, you can't be inside their mind. You don't know what they want and what they're
It's
asking
true.
for or tempting
Right.
fate with.
And I feel like there's so many different ways to like open your space and close your
Yeah.
space that like what is the right way?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, just talking about it alone is technically opening the space, and that is
guess
something
so.
that we have dealt with.
Okay,
recently.
we had a lot of shit happen on my mom's side. And we're super Portuguese, and my mom was like getting so mad, and she was like, "Oh, we're gonna have to go back to freaking Fatima and get more holy water. I don't have enough holy water left in my closet for what you're doing and creating." I was like, "Sorry, mom. Shit, sorry. Yeah,
Go see Fatima.
Oh damn.
oopsie.
Gotta go to Portugal.
Yeah, I know. I was like, okay,
That's
sure, that
fine.
sounds
Yeah.
nice.
Right?
Family
Cleanse our
trip.
spaces.
Why not?
Yeah, because we decided to do like all possession and demon stories for the month of October.
We were like, okay, 5 weeks in October. Let's do
dark stuff.
yeah, and then we basically
Episode
did
1, we were like,
I'm for
we did
that.
3 because instead of 5 because we realized like
we can't keep doing this.
we like fucked up. Like we really should have
We fucked up.
like
guys.
stuff to our space beforehand.
Like our
damn.
apartment, which never has anything negative happen in it, my husband like woke up and kind of had sleep paralysis, and like there was like a entity grabbing the side of him.
Oh, I just
And
got,
he
like,
keeps saying
chills.
it was just a dream, but I'm like, I don't think it was,
Like, I
because he
don't
was
know,
sleeping, because my sister was in town, so he was sleeping on an air mattress in our living room, and it was like very much where he was, and he like woke up with it at the end of the air mattress.
Ooh, hate it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's terrifying.
Sleep paralysis is the
I know.
scariest.
I've never had it, thank God.
It
Knock on
happens
wood.
to me
all
a
the
bunch.
time.
It happens to me a bunch. It hasn't
Really?
happened to me in a while.
say
that.
So I'm hoping it
Yeah.
won't.
Isn't
But-
it wild though that everybody has the same experiences basically and
Yes.
see the same thing? Like I understand some people's argument when they say like, oh, it's something with like the chemicals releasing in your brain when you're in that sort of like in between state of
Right.
slumber. But we didn't get broadcasted the 5 scenarios that can happen to everyone. Like
No.
Right.
it just it's so
Happens.
weird
And
that it
it's
matches.
so real.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, that's the thing. If it was like
Yeah.
this blurry, weird, hallucinogenic moment where you're like, I don't know if this is real or not. No, every time it happens,
Yeah.
my brain is looking at my bedroom as it is in that moment. And every time my brain goes, oh, this is happening.
Yeah.
Like I always
you register it.
I'll sit there and be like, oh, somebody's really in my room right now.
Yeah.
Like that's always the first thing. I'm like, oh my God, it's finally happened. Someone's in my room. Like,
okay, I have an example where I think that this is my version of like there's proof. This is my proof that sleep paralysis is like truly some sort of astral projection or weird situation where what you're experiencing is real. In college, I was having a sleep paralysis moment basically where I was like trapped in my body and had kind of felt like someone around my bed, but at the same moment I also looked out my front door and saw one of my friends coming up the steps, and I was like, oh no, I need to wake up from my weird like paralyzed state and answer the door and get my friend.
Wait,
and
so
I saw what they were wearing.
Astral self was seeing?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
And then 30 minutes later, when I finally like battle myself out and go out into the living room, because obviously the door had been answered by another roommate at that point, I saw my friend wearing exactly what I saw them in.
Goodbye.
So I was like, that right there is proof.
Yeah.
It's not just me hearing the knocking and like coming up with some sort of extra scenario in
I
my
saw it.
in between state. Like I saw it during my sleep paralysis moment.
See, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. Like I'm a very like logical thinker.
Yeah.
And so like my initial thing is to always try to figure out like a logical explanation for this.
Meanwhile, I'm like, you're cursed.
Yeah. Oh, we like immediately. It's like, oh, yep, definitely.
That's
like,
the devil.
Yeah.
That's
the
there's
devil.
gotta be a reason, but like you can't explain away these things.
No.
You can't.
No.
And when I've experienced them, I'm like, I can't. I've seen it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Right?
know how to explain that. And it's happened in several places, and it's always the same.
What were you guys talking about on that first episode where you opened something up?
we
Are you afraid to say it?
Oh, we were talking
Julia.
about, Julia. Dr. Richard Gallagher, which we're hoping to actually have on a future episode and interview him. He is this psychiatrist who had been introduced to this woman, Julia is a pseudonym for this woman to protect her identity. But basically, like, she was super possessed.
Yeah.
And it didn't, I mean, they went through various exorcisms and really brought together a whole like team of
She like
priests.
levitated for 15 minutes.
It was
front
longer
of-
than that. It was
in front of everyone.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unfortunately for her, she never was rid of her demons, but activities started happening during that episode. And then we had recorded another episode immediately after that recording. And you can see, because we just started YouTube recently, and you can see in the video of our YouTube smoke happening behind me.
Oh, I saw this.
And
Yeah.
I watched
yeah,
this one.
yeah.
I was like, oh.
I turned
did not
around.
see this.
Okay, because we were like, oh, let's make a spooky atmosphere for October. Like, let's
Like
put
covered
some
all of our windows,
Yeah,
like
I
black
love it.
candles.
Fun.
Yeah.
taper candles or whatever behind
Yeah.
us. So they were all lit. And so I was like, oh God, did one of them already like go down and it unlit? And so I turned around and nothing was smoking but one single tapered candle, which I've owned for 2 years, these black candles, because I put them out like every Halloween season or whatever.
Yeah.
They're dripless. This one is dripping like freaking crazy, and there's 2 flames on one wick.
Like the wick like split.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, for sure I'm going to catch this paranormal activity. And I grab my phone out and I'm taking the video of it on my phone. And the top flame exits the wick
Literally
and floats
floats.
like
And you
5
can literally
inches.
see it.
You can. I'll show you.
Yeah.
I'll show you
See
the
it.
extended version after this.
Holy
But yeah, because
shit.
I took like a clip of it that you saw, Alaina,
And I was like,
on social media.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And that's on top of bad vibes. My headphones were acting up and doing a bunch of weird things, like making noises. And we just felt
Both of my Google
uncomfortable.
Home and your Alexa was doing weird shit.
Yeah. See, I have an instinct right now, even just hearing you say Alexa, I'm like, don't say it.
I said it all.
Yeah,
Where
I
is
had to
she?
unplug my stuff, and my poor fiance, who was like totally afraid of ghosts and never is so supportive, but never wants to hear anything like actually about
Yeah.
what we
That is
talk
my
about on the
fiance.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, every time the Google Home went off, he was looking at me like,
Like, what did you do?
Like,
What have you done?
sorry. Yeah, I
Yeah.
made him bring me to the bathroom in the middle of the night because I had to pee and I was scared.
I don't blame you.
I don't blame you.
That's
Yeah.
happened to us, like when we've talked about like super dark
Yeah.
shit, like the picture.
Black-eyed children.
Oh,
Oh,
I don't even
oh my
want to, like,
God.
talk
Oh my
about
God.
that.
Finish it.
Yes,
we
aren't
ended
those so
up
creepy?
abandoning the episode
You
because
did?
so many weird things were
Oh my
happening.
God.
We
were like,
played it back
forget
and
it.
it was like fucked. Like the audio
Yeah.
was fucked.
and it was like
No
this weird
way.
squealing sounds and stuff, and we were like,
Ew,
okay.
oh,
yeah,
it
we were
was
like, we're not
terrifying.
gonna do
Okay,
that.
well, at least like when we've recorded, because we did a BEK episode too, but like we are apartment living. Like I feel like you guys were in the prime situation for
Yeah.
a BEK to actually
Oh,
like
yeah.
Ring
go
your
different
door,
steps
yeah.
and not.
Ask for the rotary
I was like,
phone.
no,
I
thank
hate
you.
it. I hate
Yeah.
That's
it.
part of it, right? guys like talking about it sometimes brings
calls it
forward.
That's weird that you said that, because so the first time we tried to do the BEK episode was at her like creepy ass old house. Yeah. In like the pod lab, like scary vibes.
Oh god.
And then we ended up redoing the episode like years later. Like we didn't want to touch it for years. And we did it with Tyler from Ghost Honey from TikTok. Yeah. But we did it at my apartment. No problem.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's weird that you said that.
That is strange because maybe
there's something to that.
Right?
But then the episode we did recently with cursed games, we did an episode on cursed games. And I think you ended up putting it on TikTok. All of a sudden, this picture that we have in the podcast studio of like witches like holding hands and like screaming in the
I think
air.
I know
I
the
have
exact
the
one.
exact one. I have it. Yes.
I got a picture.
Yeah, you like everyone buys it off of Etsy.
Oh, I love it.
That's
exactly
creepy,
what I got.
You know it or have it. Yeah.
Yes. But it started like moving and shit.
Yeah, it was like vibrating.
Oh no.
And there was no explanation.
And I took a video of it because I was like, I'm not touching this. Nothing is and we heard the sound.
We heard the sound, and there's so many. It's like a huge like picture wall. There's tons of pictures,
Right.
and that was the only
Nothing
one moving.
else.
It was so creepy.
And it was making a weird sound, and we were like, what is going on? And we couldn't figure out. We were like, where is that coming from? And then all of a sudden, I just happened to look over, and I was like,
and you touched it.
I was like, that picture, and I just like touched it, and it stopped for a second. Then it was like, and it just started vibrating, and I was like,
okay, to put a positive spin, and this is very unlike me. I usually put the negative spin on things. I like to think, and I also have a question about my spirit guides. I don't believe they exist or they're not doing their job. But I like to think in this scenario, it is our spirit guides being like, hey, I need to do a little warning to be like, you're dabbling in something a little dark. I'm going to scare you so that you stop talking about it.
Yeah,
it could be possible.
Because I love like a spirit guide little discussion.
Yeah.
You're speaking my language.
Am I?
Yes.
Okay, well,
wait, next time you guys are in Salem, you should go to, we just got our auras
right?
photographed.
I want to do that.
I want to do that so bad.
We went to Ascend.
Ooh,
so you can get your
that.
they have you put your hands on sensors for like 20 seconds or whatever, and then they take your picture. Our auras, well, first of all, I've been told my aura color by 3 different people unrelated to each other at different points in my life, and like my aura color did come out pretty much that color. Sabrina's also came out almost we almost have matching auras, and they said that oftentimes, especially like female friendships or like mother-child, will have very similar auras because
you surround yourself by people with similar auras.
Yeah, and you like feed off of each other.
You know,
so I wonder if you
funny.
guys would be similar.
I don't think we would have a similar aura. I feel like our auras would be like polar opposites,
Probably.
but just because we're so different.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
But there's markings above your aura too. There's like these little white kind of orby looking things that they say are your spirit guides. So like you can count how many. So I wonder if you'd see.
Oh, I love that.
I did feel really jealous of another woman who was there though, because after she got her aura photo developed and they were like looking for her, the guy handed it to this woman and was like, this is so rare. This never happens. This is like the most powerful aura. And I was like, okay, what about my powerful aura?
I want mine taken again.
This is a generic aura? Yeah. Is mine store bought?
What is that? What the hell? Good value aura.
Yeah, we're just the Walmart version
of
that woman.
We're hoping to be.
Damn, I want to go there now.
Yeah, you should.
It's
cool.
We're going to be there in a couple of weeks. So.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
Do it while you're there.
Yeah.
Note to self.
I want to do
Yeah,
that.
just go in the morning. We had no wait. We
it was pretty
waltzed
quick.
right on in.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing that.
We're getting auras.
Totally.
Now I'm excited to see if ours are similar or not at all.
I know.
What do you think they'd be different?
I feel like they would be.
I think so.
I feel like we have very different, just auras in
Yeah,
general.
yeah.
I feel like so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you do it, you'll have to share with us
Yeah.
We
what
totally
they
will.
are.
Let you know.
Yeah.
What colors were yours, if you feel like sharing?
They're bluish
And light.
indigo.
Yeah, light purple and some blue.
Ooh.
I
It's
like
almost like
that.
a little tie-dye moment.
I feel like that's your aura.
I love that. I just
Yeah.
had a discussion recently about auras, and me and my friends were like being like, "What do you think my aura is?" And
I did
forget
see
what people
a
said about me.
TikTok, and it was about how to try and read other people's auras. And she suggested if you have someone put their hand up against a white surface and you stare at it for a little while, then it is
It'll
easier
show
to see
itself.
the aura, like against the color white.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna have
do
to
that.
like go
now.
a
Yeah.
little cross-eyed, blur.
Yeah, just
your own
let it-
vision.
Everyone I
come
know
out.
is gonna
Zone
have
out
like
a
a
little
white.
bit.
Can you
piece of
please
paper.
come here real quick? Give me your hand.
Yeah, let me see.
Just give me a few minutes.
Yes.
Don't move. Don't speak. Just let me focus.
Just vibe.
Yeah, just vibe. Wow.
We do that all the
We're
time.
getting twin auras.
And then we're like, Aiden, to our editor, we're like, cut out the ums. But we're like, say it at the exact same time. Okay, well, we decided with you guys because you're on ours, and then we will be on yours.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
next week on Wondery Plus and then
all that good
regularly
stuff.
Yeah.
released.
Yeah. All that good
Regularly
Yeah.
released.
Yeah. All that good
That
stuff.
we're gonna do hometown hauntings.
Yes.
Which
So we picked places or things from your hometown in like Boston area.
Mhm.
And then you picked things from our hometowns,
Yeah.
New Jersey and Vermont.
right. And so for this
Yeah.
episode, we've got New Jersey and of course
Boston.
Boston as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I
Me
know.
too.
I'm excited to listen to this.
Do you want to go first?
This makes me so
Sabrina?
nervous that I have to start between all four of us. But yes, I do. I'm so excited. Okay. So when you think of Harvard, what do you all think?
Smarty pants.
The college, yeah.
Yeah. Ivy League,
Packy cat.
Packy
Happy
cat.
cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
top hats, some history.
Hell yeah.
But do you ever think of murder?
Like, no.
No. Like, no.
Okay, well,
I think of Good Will
after
Hunting. That's what I
this
think
story, you might.
Ooh.
Yeah. How about them apples?
I'll be
about
like,
that one?
like, yes.
Like, yes, I do.
I do
In
indeed.
fact,
Like,
I
yes.
do. This is the story of what was at the time the crime of the century. It is the murder and subsequent paranormal hauntings of George Parkman.
Ooh, I haven't heard this before.
I hadn't either. And
Me neither. And we walked. Well, I'm not going to tell your research for you. Go ahead.
I know, it was so funny.
Take it away.
Corinne and I were researching next to each other at this little inn in Marblehead, and I kept getting so excited that I kept looking at her. I was like, oh my God, I want to tell you this thing, but I can't because I want you to be surprised.
We do that all the
Yeah,
time.
I
time.
was doing that for
Constantly.
this case,
Yes.
and then she was like, "You can't tell me everything because then I won't be surprised."
Yeah.
I was like, stop telling me.
It's funny because I live in Los Angeles, Corinne is in Boston, so we never really are together when we're doing anything podcast related. So it was like a new and
It was
exciting
an
thing.
exciting, yeah.
Yes.
to
So
sit
you're like,
across
you're
from each
here. I
other.
want to tell
Yeah, I
you.
want to tell
Right,
you
I love
everything.
Okay, so George Parkman was born on February 19th, 1790, into one of Boston's richest families. His father, Samuel Parkman, had 6 children in a previous marriage and then 5 children with George's mother.
Damn,
So that's a lot of
I
kids.
know, that's a
lot of
lot
kids.
of kids.
that is a lot.
A lot of kids.
That's a handful.
Nick the
Right.
other day asked me what I would have been doing like during the War of 1812, and I was like, probably popping out like 12 kids with saggy tits. Like, I don't know.
Just having all the kids. Just all of them.
You're giving a new meaning to milkmaid.
Yeah. He's like, oh, so you're not gonna like dress up as a man and like fight the war? I was like, hell no.
Hell no.
No
You're like,
way.
"Mm-mm."
No. Okay, so George is smack dab in the middle of his 5 direct siblings. As a middle child, and I'm a middle child, I was like, oh, he probably is like, overlooked, quiet, reserved, forgotten about. But apparently George was the exception to the middle child because he was the favorite and
Ooh.
ended up actually like being inheriting his father's entire estate.
Damn,
Wow.
go George.
That
Yeah.
never happens.
I
feel
know.
like as an older sibling, I would hate him then.
I was
if he
gonna
lost
say,
the
I'd be
entire
real
estate.
pissed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
totally.
as a youngest, I'd be like, that's weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't have got it either.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
We were just talking about this. I
Yeah.
like don't know where to say I am in my family lineup because I'm my mom's only child, but like I consider Alaina and all my other aunts and uncles like my siblings, so I'm the
Mhm.
youngest there.
Right.
But then I have half siblings and I'm the oldest, so I literally
Oldest
fit every
only and
role.
youngest.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah,
Just
so I just
didn't
be
get a
mad
middle.
that I didn't get it.
Yeah. You just be like, excuse
I just
me.
be like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know how to feel about this, but
just
I'm
I
mad.
am
I'm mad
whatever
about
you want
everything.
me to be.
Yeah. Adaptable.
I'd be like, actually, I'm the middle child, so
I can be all of it. So
Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about George's upbringing. He was born into a very wealthy family in 1790. His father, Samuel, made his fortune buying low-lying lands and income properties in Boston's West End. And he also founded a bunch of towns outside of Massachusetts, Parkman, Ohio, and another town named, I'm sure you can guess, Parkman
I was gonna say.
in Maine. I guess it was a name places after yourself kind of
so
time.
unique.
Yeah,
know, so
diversify.
creative.
Yes.
Parkman
I think I'll name this
everywhere.
Parkman.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Basically, he's just like establishing his name around the world.
Yeah.
And wanted his offspring to just like continue this legacy. It's all about legacy at this time. I guess still.
Well,
It's-
and
yeah.
obviously it worked. We're talking about him now. So
Yeah,
there you
here
go.
we are.
Boom.
Here we are. So growing up, George was very intrigued by his father's business and was like, I think this is probably why he ended up taking everything or getting everything, because he was like involved and wanted to help. And he was also apparently like very smart with his finances. I'm imagining like a 5-year-old like keeping quarters. His dad's like, so proud of you, son.
You're so good at this. He has like
Yes.
a coin collection.
Yeah. And in addition to that, George was also like a very sickly kid and was in and out of
Aw.
hospitals a lot. I don't know. I couldn't find specifically what he was sick with, but it impacted him greatly and then eventually led to him wanting to study medicine.
Ooh.
So in 1805, George is 15 years old. He enters the freshman class at Harvard. And apparently 15 was like the normal age to go to college.
Makes total sense.
Yeah. I mean, now we're all getting older, so I guess it makes sense that you do things later in life.
But they were just like Doogie Housering it.
Yeah.
Back then.
They're like, we're dying at 35, so
you gotta
go to college.
Become a doctor.
Yeah.
Do something.
I know. I mean, he retired. I think he retired at like 35
21.
years old.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
basically.
Wow. And then lived like 3 more years.
That's
like, woof.
Sadly, yes. So, okay. Harvard at this time is like a gentleman's club. You know, women are not allowed.
Lame.
Yes.
You
Agreed. Okay, maybe you do have the same aura.
I know what you're talking about.
It's like the height of elitism. You know, it's the oldest institution of higher education in the U.S. So Harvard is just like, you can only go if you have money, and George did. It was also, Harvard at this time was an extension of the government in Boston and greater Massachusetts. So like if you were involved with the university and were socially like elite in Boston, you basically controlled like everything.
Wow.
And I don't think that they came up with this term at the time, but they were called the Boston Brahmin, which was like a fancy term for the elite.
Huh.
Yeah.
Should we start calling ourselves that?
Yeah.
Manifest it?
Yeah.
We're the
manifest
Boston
this.
Brahmin.
Give us that money, baby.
Yeah,
That's
let's
what
do
we are
it
right now.
Let's walk around Harvard campus and just embody it.
Like, ever heard of us?
Yeah.
No,
Hello,
you
we're the
will.
Brahmin.
Don't
We
you
try to
know?
get like the graduation capes, but it's actually
Yes.
just like we bought them like at the Harry Potter store on Newberry Street.
It's a Gryffindor cape. We're like, hey,
We got wands too.
Yeah.
similar
Magic.
colors.
I do have a
the same.
wand. Okay, so George is at Harvard, and while he's there, he meets and befriends a fellow classmate, John Webster. While George was reserved, quiet, and introspective, and very cautious with his money, John Webster, and this is a quote, had a petulant and fussy disposition, but was known for his kindly nature.
So annoying but kind.
Yes.
Right. There's always Johns in these stories.
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
all
you
over
gotta
the
have
map.
a John.
John's like the most popular name, and he probably like named his kids John. And,
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
everyone after that is
Yeah.
John.
John's
John
always
the
come from
40th.
several Johns.
Yes, of course. And unfortunately, John wasn't the most intellectually gifted person,
Aw, John.
but he was very rich. So money paved way for his opportunities.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He had one. That's all that matters.
And then the two of them graduated 2 years apart, George in 1809, John in 1811. And after graduating Harvard, George could have just been like set for life inheriting his dad's wealth, but he had deep aspirations and wanted to study mental health specifically. And according to a bunch of articles, mental illness was really common in his family and sounds like something he battled with. And this is like the 1800s, you know, mental health was not like very well cared for.
Yeah, no
or
one was
there
really
was not
talking about
yeah,
it.
it was like
No.
Like, you're
lobotomies
crazy.
for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
lobotomies or lock you away.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
Asylums.
Yeah.
Galore.
So George is like, I want to understand mental health and find better treatments.
Go, George.
So he goes to Scotland and gets a
I
medical
feel like I'm going to regret this later. I'm like on George's side
You can
right
root for
now.
George.
Okay,
I will.
no, I felt like you
disclaimer,
could.
you
I
can
always,
root for George.
I always wonder, but I'm like, I'm just going to go for it.
I'm
This is
Team
how I
George as
feel.
well.
I feel like we're not supposed to root for John.
Well, I'm telling the story correctly.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so George goes to Scotland. He receives his medical degree. And while he's there, he's realizing that mental health and mentally ill people in America are treated terribly. They're ostracized. And he was just like, there's got to be a better way. So he travels around Europe, which was really common for men this time. They would like go and like, you know, be bachelors and reckless and stuff. But George was going around Europe seeing psychiatric care. It's like he was going to all these
Wow.
facilities all over Europe, meeting with doctors and scientists and just trying to
So
understand.
he was using his
love
family's
George.
wealth
Yes, for the
a
good.
higher,
Yeah.
better purpose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Team George.
So he's
Team
like,
George.
wait, yeah.
All
This
the
is
way.
the Team
We'll make
George
t-shirts.
episode.
We will.
Yeah.
Team George.
Yeah, and so he basically formulates his own, based on going to all these facilities, formulates his own belief and like borrows from specifically France, he believed, had like really good methods of caring for mentally ill patients. And he came to the conclusion that they should resemble everyday life and patients should enjoy hobbies, socializing, and participating in household chores. So basically, ethical, more humane approach.
Yeah. Treat people like people.
Like,
Imagine that.
Wow,
wild.
shocking.
It's so progressive.
Yeah. So he comes back to the U.S. He serves as a doctor in the War of 1812 and starts helping the mentally ill and does it mostly helping people who don't have access to healthcare. Again, Team George.
Hell yeah.
All the
He's
way.
great. He also offered $16,000 to build an institution at the Massachusetts General Hospital and gave them the money. And yeah.
We're all pointing at Alaina. Like,
yeah.
You know that place. You know that place.
Yeah, you probably have been in this building.
Heck yes.
And
many times.
yes. He gives them this money and he's like, I'm under the impression that after I give this money to build the entire building, I will be a part of running the facility. But the trustees basically take his money, build the building, and then they're like, we're going to give it to someone else.
Ooh. Lame.
Which he's like super bummed about,
Yeah.
of course. And so he decides to retire at 34.
Damn.
But he continues working. So I don't know. He retired, but I guess.
Fake retirement.
It was one
Yes.
of those like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
A minute later,
Really just to get a party.
He was like,
Yes.
I'm doing it. No, just kidding.
I do think it was like, hey, I'm not going to go play golf and like midday tea times type of thing. But like, I have all this money. I'm going to continue managing properties and then not take money to help people who are mentally ill.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Sick.
yeah, great.
Good job, George.
He like writes papers for the New England Journal of Medicine and Surgery and then manages the land and properties his dad leaves him. He buys even more land and more properties, many of which he rented to immigrants, which is important for later. And at this time, it's like a lot of Irish immigrants. He's just like a great, successful guy, very smart with his money. And this is just a fun fact. He had a nickname around the town called the pedestrian.
What?
Because
Does he walk a lot?
yes.
What?
Yes.
Spot on.
Yes, it's a very aptly named nickname.
Wow.
So despite his wealth and like the distance he had to walk and travel for all of his jobs and collecting rent and stuff, he did not want to have a horse because he was like, it's too much money to upkeep, despite the fact that he has so much money. So he's just like, I don't want to spend money on things that for him were frivolous. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet he had great cardiovascular health,
Right.
too.
He was a very skinny man. So that's the other
bet.
thing. Apparently the way he walked, he was like very, very lanky. And
Okay, so
Just
there's some spookiness about
there was a bit of like,
He's
yes.
Slenderman.
I love
Yes.
a lanky man.
Right.
Yeah. I love a lanky man. So I'm like, yes, George.
Yes,
yeah.
lanky George.
Lanky
You like a
George.
lanky John.
I do. I love a lanky John.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've got a little mashup.
Yeah,
of
lanky George. He apparently had like a chin that jutted out a bit too. So I think like,
Hey,
he,
it's
like,
better
walked
than
with
mine.
it.
I have no
There you
chin. It
go.
just goes straight
same.
to
I know.
a chin.
the no.
Sometimes I feel like I don't have a jaw, and so like my ears and neck are like all kind of.
You
go
do.
Oh,
on
I
each
feel
other.
that way.
Yeah.
I also have that little like butt chin thing going
so
on.
cute though.
Oh,
I love a butt
little
chin. So yeah, he preferred to walk, and everyone kind of knew that he would be walking around. He had his routine, so like everyone just expected to see George in the streets.
Pedestrian.
The pedestrian.
what a like where was everybody's creativity back then?
I
They're
know.
just like a person
Walking.
pedestrian. Like it's just like I couldn't come up
Boom.
with anything better than that. Like the Walking George or something.
Oh, I like the Walking
Dead.
George.
The Walking
It was
George.
before the Walking Dead. I
It
guess.
was.
You guys, if there was a time machine, we would go back right now, and that's how
Yeah.
we would use our power.
and I'd be like, you don't know yet, but this will be funny.
yes.
Just wait, George.
Just
Not funny
wait.
yet, but it will.
Hold
be.
on tight.
Yes. So, okay. Also, just a little side note, even though George was like very like smart with his finances, he was also like very, very giving to people. So if his friends needed
Aw.
money, he was always willing to help them out and expecting that they would pay him back eventually. He also gifted land to Harvard so they could build the new Harvard Medical School.
Damn.
He like gave land to the government so they could build the Charles Street Jail. He was very, it was like, hey, I'm just gonna, I know I have a lot of money, but I'm gonna give back.
I
We
love
need
George.
more Georges in
Yes.
the world.
Yeah, be a George.
This is really
Yeah.
a surprising turn,
Yeah.
you know, or I guess development. We didn't really ever turn away from him being good.
we've
but I
been
just
Team George the whole
assumed
time.
he would
Yeah,
was not
eventually
worried.
take a step back.
I'm always worried
Yes.
when we start these stories. I'm
I
like,
know.
I'm team this person, and I
But
feel
like,
like I
should
shouldn't
I
be.
not be?
I
yeah.
always love to do
It's
that.
happened to me before
Yes.
a lot.
Yeah. So you remember his friend John Webster?
Oh, do we
How
ever?
could we forget?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we ever?
never forget a
So
John.
this petulant but kind man had fallen on some hard times. He got his doctorate and then went on to start his own medical practices, but did not find much success. I kind of like got like Dr. Death vibes from him, where like he really tried but just wasn't good. And so he was a bit lost. He was losing some money, didn't have a practice, and he was used to a certain lifestyle. Like his family was really wealthy. He grew up very wealthy, but here he is now like doesn't have a job that is bringing in all this money.
Yikes.
So he turns to George and he's like, I need some help. And George has a bunch of influence. Like he gave a freaking building to Harvard. So he gets John a teaching position at the Harvard Medical College that George basically gifted to Harvard. And John gets a job lecturing in chemistry, mineralogy, and geology in 1824. And apparently, this is a fun fact, John loves pyrotechnics and would do a lot of...
That's so John.
Yeah, it's so John.
John of him. He's like throwing raves outside of the building.
Truly. He was like demonstrating with pyrotechnics in his classroom. And I think that just exemplifies the kind of man he was.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's going for
It's
it.
fiery.
He's really going for it.
Yeah.
Is he an Aries?
Oh,
perhaps.
I did not write down his birth.
I only know that because my husband's
George is a
name is John, and
Pisces.
he's an Aries, and they are.
And does he
And
like
all Johns
pyrotechnics?
are.
I don't know if he has a feeling about pyrotechnics,
Okay.
but I'll have to ask him.
You'll have to let us know.
I think
I
actually
hope
he
that
might
they're
like
very
them.
different.
I
I hope
hope so.
these Johns are different. Okay.
So
He's good
far
at
they are
building
because John's
fires.
really smart.
Yeah, John is
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
smart.
so
Okay.
you know,
Good to know. I'm happy for you.
yeah. Like, all right, cool.
Nailed it.
We
Yeah.
diverged here.
Okay, so Webster is teaching at Harvard. George is, walking around, being a pedestrian, collecting rent and debt, doing his thing. And he gets married. And also, this was like annoying. This is a little side note that I could not for the life of me find the name of George's wife.
Oh,
It just did not exist on the internet, and
I
which
hate
makes
that.
me just like, oh,
that always makes me so mad.
yeah.
When you dig and dig and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna find it.
And nowhere,
Nothing.
Yeah.
nowhere.
And it's always such a when you can find it if it does exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like on like a ship manifest or something.
Right.
It's
I'm
always
sure
like,
I could
yes.
have gone to like a
But
local
sometimes it
library or
just
something.
doesn't.
That's
Yeah.
a lot. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I hate that.
also like how of the times they're just like George.
And then
What?
Mrs.
Yes.
George.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mrs. George.
And their
Yeah.
12 children, all named George.
Yeah.
Or Georgia.
Yeah. So, okay, Parkman's a man of routine. He would meet his wife for lunch every day at the exact same time. But on November 23rd of 1849, Parkman did not show up for their lunch.
Oh no.
Ruh-roh.
His wife waited a bit, thinking that despite being out of character, maybe George was just running late. But still, he did not show. And she went home to wait for him. Still nothing. Night came. Still no sign of George. So she goes to the authorities, and because it's George Parkman, the pedestrian, the man of Harvard,
man
he
of
has
the
notoriety, the man, they take it very seriously and start searching for him pretty much immediately and are asking people around town, like, hey, have you seen George? Remember, he's the pedestrian. People see him all the
That
time.
guy who walks with the chin.
Exactly.
Right, no?
Yeah,
The guy with the
exactly.
chin.
Seen him?
And
I'm stressed for him right now.
I am too. What's happening with George?
after a few days, everyone's like, there's definitely some foul play involved with
Yeah.
this.
Uh-oh.
And they believe they are dealing with a murder. So they are searching for George's body, and they unfortunately were really focused on the immigrants living in his tenements just because there was a lot of, societal rifts between the locals, even though they also were immigrants, and immigrants. So they were basically like, oh, these people probably killed him because they couldn't pay up and whatnot.
We're gonna make our own story.
Exactly.
Let's just use some
No
scapegoats
evidence.
today.
Yeah.
Yes. So they were pointing fingers at the wrong people, but they were right about the motive because George was indeed murdered, but by who and where was
Oh,
his
no.
body? So everyone's on high alert, including a man named Ephraim Littlefield, who is a Harvard Medical School janitor. He was working one evening after hours and he heard a noise and went to investigate and found Dr. John White Webster slipping into his office. And it's late at night and John is startled by Ephraim's
Yeah, I bet he
appearance.
is.
And that's like, he's shifty, he's all scared and nervous. And Ephraim's like, something is off. And starts watching Webster really closely and noticing that Webster is like coming late at night, doing things in his little office. And it's just, apparently also, John gave Ephraim Littlefield a turkey on Thanksgiving, which was like a major red flag because this guy's like, I don't talk to this guy, nor are we friends, nor has he ever given me a turkey for Thanksgiving
Yeah,
before.
why are there suddenly gifts
So,
being given?
This
Yeah.
feels like a hush turkey.
Oh, it's a hush turkey.
Oh, the classic hush
The
turkey.
classic.
hush
If
turkey.
you ever need someone to be quiet, give them a turkey.
Thanksgiving turkey.
So on November 30th of 1849, 7 days after George went missing, Ephraim Littlefield decides to go into the laboratory and look around. And there is a privy, which was basically like a porta potty. It's like an open hole. And
Uh-oh.
he looks inside and finds human remains
Oh no.
Oh no.
belonging to, you guessed it, George
Aw,
Parkman,
The
Aw.
pedestrian.
the
Yeah, I
pedestrian.
Poor
Sad, but
George.
I understand the hiding spot because the smell would probably be masked by
that's
the smell that
true.
already exists there, right? Like, would it really raise any red flags over time?
Yeah.
Truth.
Well, and the other thing is this is the medical school, so there's bodies in there all the time.
That's
and
true.
when they arrested John Webster, he was basically like, no, like that's just a body from the lab, like you know,
we put in the toilet.
That
It's
we
like,
disposed of strangely. Anyway, he's arrested, and the murder of George Parkman becomes sensational news. It's the crime of the century. It is so sensational. It's written in newspapers all around the world, and it's often compared to the O.J. Simpson trial, just in terms of like how much popularity it received. And while there wasn't television, it's like in the news, and 60,000 spectators eventually came to the trial. 60,000. Yes. But let's rewind just a bit.
Damn.
So George's body is discovered in the privy in Webster's lab, and John is arrested. And just a trigger warning, the description of how the body is found is a bit gruesome, if anyone wants to fast forward. Investigators search Webster's lab and discover a jawbone and dentures fused to the furnace, a headless, hairy torso, and a thigh stuffed into a bloody tea chest.
Ooh. Oh my God.
And other body parts scattered in various areas of the lab, some of it badly burned, which kind of reminds me of the detail on the Dahmer case, where the very first body, he just like didn't know how to dispose of it and tried all these different things.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Yeah, and everyone's in shock. And they also, because John Webster was like in the elite society as well, they're like, there's no way he could be capable of a heinous crime. But thing that came out is that Webster was living a bit of a lie. He didn't have money. He was like pretending he had money, and he was actually in a horrible financial crisis and had borrowed money from George.
The
motive
thickens.
There it is.
Motive.
That's motive right
Meanwhile,
there.
George would have just like
Given it.
George
he
seems
did
like the
give it.
guy
They
who
did get it
just,
back
like,
to me eventually.
Yeah. He's not
Yeah.
gonna be like a bill collector. He's gonna be like,
No.
you know.
So this is where John went doubly wrong. He doubled down. So George basically gives him this money, makes the loan, and the way that John got the loan was like, hey, I will give you I think it was like a rock collection.
So not the coin collection from
Not the
earlier. A rock collection.
It was like collateral, basically. Like, hey, if I don't pay you back, you have this.
You can keep these rocks.
Yes.
These rocks that I
I
have.
painted them. Some of them have googly eyes. They're really
one is
special to me.
emerald.
I've named a couple.
Yes, they're
yours.
very important. But John ran out of the money that George gave him and then went to George's brother-in-law, which is, first mistake, and used the same collateral to take out another loan from George's brother-in-law. So, of course, George finds out and is like, I'm going to go confront John about it and just be like, hey, dude, what did you think you were doing?
Right.
Use
Figure
this rock
it out.
collection so much.
Yes,
What's
I
going
know.
on?
I know.
Or,
I
like,
need to know
save your
what
money
these
a little
rocks
bit.
are.
Yeah.
I think,
Why are they so special?
Are they geodes?
I think they were like,
Like crystally.
you know,
the fancy ones.
Yes, the fancy ones.
Why didn't he just sell them? It's like, you're going to put
Yeah, I
them up
don't
for
know.
collateral. Just sell them, and then
He
you'll
didn't
have
want
the
to
money.
lose
also,
them, I guess.
Clearly, he's not a pedestrian. He's a horse rider. Like,
Yeah.
sell your horse.
Yeah.
Sell your
Get some
horse.
steps
Yeah.
Sell
in,
your
bud.
horse.
Go
He
walk
did
with,
lose his house,
George.
though. I really do feel like he was having.
He was in
He had no
desperate.
money.
He had
Yes.
no more
no money. I think he
Tiffany
had quite a
lamps
few
and
kids
fancy
too.
chandeliers to
Oof.
sell.
Yes, yeah, lost his house, everything. So he's just making really, really poor decisions with his money. And it sounds like on November 23rd, the day that George went missing, he went to go confront John about this debt and the, hey, like you just like doubled down with my brother-in-law. Like I knew. And they got in an argument. Mom.
Oh
my God,
mom
that
was
just happened
calling
to us.
me. I was
Really?
like, whoops.
Hi, Mom. Love
She
you,
always
Mom.
calls at the worst time. Love
Literally
her.
every time we record, my mom
Yeah.
calls me.
Yep.
Every single time.
She gets it.
So funny.
Well, she
You're the
doesn't,
middle
but-
child that's only remembered during recording.
There you go. And I'm the youngest that's only remembered during recording.
Okay, so yes, they get in an argument, and obviously we can't be sure what happened next, but it seems like in the heat of the moment, John snapped and killed his friend, George. There's a lot of really, really interesting stuff if you're into law, which I'm sadly not. No offense.
Woods.
Yeah, but there's a lot of interesting stuff that happened because of this case and like actually impacted the future of murder trials, which I think is really cool. But I'll tell you the things that like actually are important to this case. So basically, this was the first time a jury was asked to decide a verdict beyond reasonable doubt, which I think is fascinating. And it pioneered new ground in scientific evidence because this is far before forensic evidence. But Parkman's dentist was able to identify the body via the dentures found at the scene because he had taken a mold of George's teeth before making
Even back
the
then.
denture. Yeah.
That's
How
interesting.
cool.
Yeah.
So basically that just sealed the deal that it was like 100% George's body. And John White was convicted and executed for the murder of John Parkman in August of 1850. And today, some people are like, maybe Webster was innocent, and like the janitor also had just as much access to it, but there's just a lot of evidence.
The janitor didn't borrow money and
put
up a rock collection for collateral twice.
Yes,
exactly.
In the same family.
Yeah,
big stretch.
Yeah.
Yes. And the turkey, come on.
Exactly.
The turkey
of it
hush
all.
turkey.
Kind of a
blame
threatening
Ephraim.
move to gift someone a giant, large, fleshy bird.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah.
It's a
I would think it's a strange gift.
And being like, eat
As a
this.
vegetarian. For
Yeah,
you,
I
it
was like,
would
why are
be.
you giving me a
Cook
turkey?
it and eat this.
Yes.
Tofurkey, hush tofurkey. I would be offended because I don't like tofurkey.
I've never had tofurkey.
I haven't had tofurkey either.
My mom one year was like really excited when tofurkey came out. That like for Thanksgiving she made it and no one ate it.
Aw.
Yeah.
Don't make that this year.
I won't.
This is my first year as a pescatarian.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome to the club.
So, okay, while George did not die in his home, it is believed that his spirit haunts his once beloved home to this day.
Ooh.
And there is some debate over the address of the house, which is really weird, but there are 3 addresses listed. Google Maps says 30 Chestnut Street, so I feel like I should believe that.
So Beacon Hill.
They're all
There
in
you go.
Beacon Hill.
Ooh, I was just there.
Another article says 8 Walnut Street, and then another one says 33 Beacon Street. I don't know. I believe 30 Chestnut Street because it is marked as a historical landmark.
Oh, yeah.
So
then
that makes the most sense.
Yes. So a few years after George Parkman's death, a toilet on the 3rd floor just kept overflowing.
Ooh.
They had plumbers come and fix it, but it continued to flood incessantly.
It's like his spirit is
A
trying
privy.
to escape.
Yeah.
Yes, the toilet that he once
Yeah.
So
flushed
much water
down.
would flood out of the toilet that it would rush down the stairs in this house.
Oh,
Nasty.
Gross.
The
Yeah.
smell.
oh.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Residents of the home reported hearing George's voice in other rooms, and they would go to look and no one was there. They'd hear noises in the night. And today, people claim that they see him standing in the windows looking out onto the street.
Ooh.
But the toilet flooding is what really convinced people that it was George's spirit because it seems very coincidental.
toilets.
Toilets.
The toilet of it all.
In
The toilet of it all. The toilet of
a
it all.
sentence you never thought you would
Nope.
say. And then in 1908, the Parkman estate was evaluated at nearly $5.5 million and was left to the city and is now used for civic functions and serves as the mayor's office reception hall and is a stop along the Boston Ghost Company ghost tour.
Ooh.
And
That tour is so fun.
I've never
I've never done it.
Yeah,
You didn't
we
you
did
do
it
it
once.
recently?
No, I did Ghosts and Gravestones.
Oh.
Did the bus.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good one. This one's fun.
I haven't
Okay.
done any
Yeah.
of them in Boston,
Me
which is
neither.
like weirdly surprising. Yeah.
I feel like you never do the things that are like close to you.
Yeah,
Right,
that's true.
exactly.
So, yeah.
Next time I come, we should do a double feature.
Yeah. Do you guys
Hit
want to come?
both of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna say, can we do it
go. Oh, we
together?
have
Yeah.
Sweet.
1000%.
Oh, we have to.
Cool.
Should we look tonight?
I know. I'm like, what are we doing tonight?
Yeah. But so it's a stop along the ghost tour, and while you can't go inside or visit George's ghost face to face, maybe you will walk by and see him peer out the window, and that is
feel
the
like we
story of
would.
George Parkman.
I know. I'm surprised that he's like
Wow.
not perpetually walking somewhere.
I
That's
know.
true.
You know, I want him
Maybe
to just
he
like
is.
stroll outside.
Maybe people just don't realize it yet.
Maybe
Like,
that's-
maybe he's
yeah.
around Harper.
I mean, a lot of people do walk around Boston, so maybe
Maybe he
he's
just
just like
walks right by
along,
you.
along
Right.
Ellen.
Well, and
Yeah.
also there's so many, like in the Beacon Hill, Boston Common area, there's so many people that are
Mhm.
in the, traditional
old
looking
period clothing.
Yeah, period
Yeah.
clothing. There's so many tours and
Good point.
Yeah.
people, like you wouldn't always
don't know.
necessarily know if you see someone out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
You just think
George
it's one
might
of the
just be-
performers. A tour
Yeah.
guide.
Georgie
Right there,
George.
right?
Georgie George.
Georgie.
George.
We should, this would be really cool. Like if we can find a photo of George, what he looked
Ooh.
like, and then
Have
Put
you
it
seen this
into-
man missing on all the trees?
Have you seen the
I was
pedestrian?
going, we give it to the police and ask them to, I don't think this is how technology works with, but
I
like
also don't
facial
know if
rec.
this is how like
I want-
police resources.
This
work,
is how
but
the-
I'm ready.
this
I'm
is
like,
how-
"Let's
right on that.
This is how my TV brain works because I feel like you can make it all up. We give them the photo of George's face and then have them run it through facial recognition of Boston Street cameras.
the CCTV.
CCTV.
Pull it through.
Boom, I think that's it. I think
we
you
should do
just
it.
cracked the case.
I think we
almost.
should do it.
Solved it.
Wow.
This is the new version of our ghost hunting. We're too scared to like actually go in anywhere. We just
Behind a
utilize
computer.
CCTV.
Yeah.
I found him.
I love that.
But yeah, that's the story of George Parkman.
Wow.
Damn, I can't believe I never heard that before.
I know, me
I
neither.
know. Poor
That was really
George.
good.
Poor
I know.
George.
R.I.P. George.
I know.
John's.
John's.
John. Can't
Johns,
trust him.
Georges.
Can't trust him.
Can't trust him.
Can't trust a John.
It's just wild that all of that happened right there
Yeah.
I mean, if he lived in Beacon Hill too, it's like he was steps away from the Boston Strangler, like the classic Paramount,
Truth.
The final victim. Like there's so much that happens right there.
I know, it's true.
Boston is
The Charleston Jail, the
haunted
Liberty
city.
Hotel is steps away.
It's true. My mom actually lived in Boston in an apartment
Oh.
with like 3 other girls during the Boston Strangler.
An apartment that you could open the lock with a credit card.
No.
And they did.
So
and
they
she
used
said
to pile up cans against the door so it would make a noise if somebody came in.
Oh my god.
Like they had a
Like,
plan.
I was like, you just like went to sleep at
Right.
night? Like you just
It's like,
Like
okay,
also, yeah, you can hear it, but then if they're
What's-
already
what are you
inside
gonna
your
do?
place, what do you
what's
do?
the next steps? Like, what are
Yeah.
your plans?
I don't
Like,
think they
you
got
hear
that far.
No, I think they were just
Yeah.
like, we'll hear it.
Wow.
I guess.
Wow.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's terrifying.
I know.
I guess
it's like,
maybe it would like scare him away.
Mm.
I don't-
maybe.
Probably not. He was fucking crazy.
He was a
Yeah.
lot. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Yikes.
I know.
I do hope that George's spirit has passed on. Like I know
know.
it's fun to be like, oh, like maybe we could see him, but like I just always get so sad when people go through such tragic events in their lives if their ghosts are still around, because it's like, move on, little beautiful butterfly.
Yeah.
Get reincarnated.
I know.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has like unfinished business.
Maybe.
He's after that rock collection, I guess.
Maybe.
Or maybe he just needs that place named after him that he gave all the money
was
for.
just
and
gonna
they-
say.
There you go.
Oh.
That's his place.
Let's start a petition.
Okay.
Right?
Justice for George.
Justice
We'll,
for
we'll
George.
do picket signs outside
Yeah.
Harvard.
Just the four of
Name it
us.
for George.
In our Harry Potter
Like,
capes.
who's George?
With our
Like,
wands.
what's going on here?
I love it.
Maybe he's haunting Mass General.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
Yeah.
haunted.
Did you
right?
ever experience anything
That place,
spooky there?
that the morgue at Mass General is haunted.
I mean,
That
the
is for
morgue
sure.
is the morgue.
Yeah, I
so.
mean,
Yeah.
it definitely is. But
It's
there was,
creepy.
because I used to work there sometimes in like the middle of the night
Oh my gosh.
in the morgue, so I would be there at like 2 a.m. And so I'd be sitting there, and there's been times where it was such an overwhelming feeling of like something is
Dread.
here and something is not
Yeah.
supposed to
Ugh.
be here, that sometimes I would have to walk up to the main floor just to like get a breather
Oh my
for a
God.
second, just to be
Wow.
like, okay.
Did
Yeah.
you ever like hear? I mean, I don't know much about bodies after.
Oh,
they've
she'll tell you.
passed, but,
Yeah,
like,
we've
when people have
definitely-
like vocal things
Yeah,
come
there's
out.
definitely that'll happen too during autopsies. Sometimes you get like a breath out, and
Oh my
that's always like the
gosh.
really when you're in the middle of like going to cut, and it's like a weird like of air, and
Oh,
you're like,
God.
like it's just,
No.
I just
especially
got
in the middle of the
uneasy.
night. Yeah,
Whoa.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
Yeah, honestly, I was always super into like anatomy and
Mhm.
physiology. Like that always really interested me. And then I was into really like spooky things and horror.
Yeah.
And once I started reading about true crime, I was always really drawn to like the medical examiner's
Yeah.
portion of it.
Mhm.
And once I figured out you can do that for a job, like I was like, oh, that's a person who does that.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to do that.
You're like, dream jobs.
Yeah.
Seth.
And then I
Wow.
just kind of like harassed the head of pathology there until he was like, come on in and like you can talk to me.
Wow.
And we started doing like a research thing together. And then he was like, so I was like, can I like work in the morgue? And he was like, there's no openings. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
And then eventually after like, I think a year and a half
Persistence.
together, he was like, there's an opening.
Oh my gosh.
And like, you should go down there.
That's
So
incredible.
we gave it a try. Because usually they like bring people in and they're
Yeah.
like, you got to go through one, see if you pass out, see if you throw up, and then, then we'll
Have you
move
ever thrown
forward.
up?
No,
Okay.
it didn't bother me at all. I was terrified because I was like,
Wow.
what if I go down there
Yeah.
and my whole hope and dream of doing this just
I
gets
know.
shattered
Oh,
and I
right.
can't
Yeah,
handle
but it didn't.
And it didn't. I was
Well,
so
you had been
happy.
to like the body farm and stuff like that.
You
It's been-
have?
I've never been to the body farm.
Oh, I saw.
But I've been to
The exhibit
cadaver
thing.
labs.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I've been to
those
like
are cool.
cadaver labs
Yeah.
where like those are like it's a good little like kind of like ease into it
Mhm.
because they're like a little
Right.
more preserved, so
Mhm.
you don't get like the full smell of everything that's in
Yeah.
there.
Gosh.
But you get that like formaldehyde kind of yucky
Yeah.
smell that you kind of it like sticks with you.
Mhm.
I think
I'd
it's a
wanted
good
to go
ease
into
I heard-
orthodontics until I learned you had to,
Oof.
do the
Ugh,
cadavers. And I was
yeah.
like, oh, no chance, no chance.
You're like, no, thank
I
you.
cannot do
I
that.
heard
Yeah.
NyQuil. or-
NyQuil.
Not NyQuil.
Vicks.
Vicks.
Yeah.
Vicks vapor rub under the nose is the
Oh.
trick.
But sometimes it'll stick too.
Because
Uh,
isn't that like
Vapor rub,
a
and then you
prank
will-
that they
Because
play on
sometimes
you?
they'll have like they'll like prank you to like put something under here, and the smell will just stick to it, and then it hits
And
you
then you're
harder.
stuck.
Oh,
Vicks
God.
is good because it can sometimes overwhelm the
Right.
smell.
yeah.
But something else, it can just stick right
Oh,
to it.
God.
Do you remember
Gosh.
a few years ago on TikTok and social media when they were saying that powder, like loose powder makeup, you can see it in people's lungs after they
Oh,
pass?
yeah. Wait,
Have
I
you ever
heard that
seen
recently.
I've never seen that.
That's
Okay, that makes
scary.
me feel
That
better.
is interesting.
Because there's a lot
Whoa.
of powder makeup lingering inside of me, I guarantee.
Oh, me too. I still put it on every day.
Same.
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
You gotta bake.
I feel like we have
exactly.
far more things to be concerned about because recently we learned, Corinne and I did some research that people ingest worm eggs, like parasite eggs, all the time.
Oh, okay, wait. I started doing a parasite cleanse. I only made it 3 days in before having a panic attack, which was 2 days ago.
Oh my God.
Actually, as we've been
One of
recording,
those.
my eye keeps pulsing. It's been pulsing
She
ever
thinks
since
worms
I
are coming out
started
of her eyes.
I keep thinking worms are coming out of my eyes, my fingertips, my ears.
Oh my God.
Because we Googled.
I feel so bad for
Griffin,
the audio tech.
close your
Griffin,
ears.
who's here. But I will tell you something.
Earmuffs.
Griffin, close your ears. I swear I pooped out a worm the other day.
Did you dig?
I didn't have to. I went to pee and something escaped my butthole. I looked down because I was like, what the fuck? I've never just like randomly shit myself. And I looked down and there's like, it's like this long.
And it was
It's
a worm.
I
Can I
see
see a
where it was.
picture?
I didn't take a picture of
She
my
did.
actual.
That's what you were doing.
I should have taken a
We
picture of my
did
poop.
do
I regret not doing
research after. It was a threadworm, is what we
Or
decided.
pinworm.
And
Yeah,
I looked it up,
threadworm.
and it affects like a billion people a year.
What?
And
Here, it
people,
looked
the
like
eggs
this.
are so
I
small
took
that they
a-
float in the air.
From Google Images. I grabbed. It looked like that though.
It was that long.
No, it was like probably half of that. This
But
kind of looks like
still.
this looks like fresh pasta, doesn't it?
It kind of does.
It
I'm not gonna
does.
lie.
Is
I
that
was
from
like,
Italy?
If I weren't
Damn.
gluten free, I'd be like, maybe I just didn't chew well enough.
Yeah.
But no, that was like it fell out of me, and I was like,
That's terrible.
And
Do
you
you feel
ingest
relief
them.
at all? Like
I
from,
mean,
from it being
I
away?
think part of it is a little bit like enema, like this cleanse. So I just, in general, am a lot lighter. I'm like basically floating through the air right now. I'm so small.
What does it entail?
I bought like the Paragard pills. It's just like you just take like little pills like 3 times a day, and then it just makes you
Go.
go.
My therapist was telling me about it, and she got one of those kits where you like go into like the thing they give you at school if you're gonna throw up, like you use the bathroom into that,
Oh.
and then it has like a hoodsie cup stick, I guess.
Oh my
and
gosh.
you like
Dig,
Dig.
to see.
Yeah.
A friend of mine did a coffee enema cleanse, which does the same
Ooh.
thing, but like you literally have to put coffee in your butt.
in your butt.
Wow.
Like, and I don't
Like they were like upside down in the shower.
put her
trying
legs
to, like,
up in the
tap.
shower
This is
to do it.
enlightening.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that. I don't want something in my butthole that shouldn't be in my butthole.
Right?
I don't need coffee in my butt.
Yeah.
I would do
No.
the pill one.
I'm gonna give you my pills.
Yeah.
Yes,
Do
I'm
you?
Because you're just like,
Or do you?
with the pills.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
you swallow.
orally,
Oh, you
orally.
orally
You
swallow
take
them.
them. It's just
Do
like
you?
with
And
the
you swallow
water.
them this way and goes
You
out
take
the
it
other
out.
way.
Yeah,
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Like, it
I
makes
thought
its
it was
way
gonna be like,
downtown.
yeah.
I was like,
want
is
the
this
worms.
a suppository? Is that what
No.
it is?
No.
If my eye weren't pulsing and like my fingertips tingling and my ears starting to like itch and like my butthole starting to itch, like I would keep doing it. But
yeah,
I
we
think
did learn-
psychologically, I'm like
It's too
convincing
much.
myself that every
I
orifice,
couldn't do
every
it
hole is
psychologically.
about to like have something crawl
Just
out of it, so I had to
explode.
stop.
We did hear like with one of the symptoms to like know if you have worms is that your butthole itches, and so like immediately after reading that, we're both like, "Do our butts itch?"
because
Oh
then
my
all of a
God.
sudden you're like, it does.
Oh my gosh!
Yes,
everything's
everyone's
wrong.
like, I do have itchy
God.
butt.
Wait a second.
You
Yeah.
guys are making me nervous.
Oh my God.
I'm like, thinking, I'm
shifting
like,
in your seat.
I'm like,
What's going on?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
some mental
man.
preparation before
Yeah.
taking one of those. Don't just willy nilly
You
go
gotta
into
be
it
in
like I
like
did.
a real
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Have your therapist on
ready for
speed
that.
dial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn.
and no, my fiance found me like curled up on our bed, bawling my eyes out, saying, "Worms are coming out of my eyes," and he was like, "What?
It's like, what's happening here?
What is going on?" Because I don't even think I told him I was taking the cleanse. I was like on
my
daydream.
God.
Worms are coming out. I was like-
Randomly.
He's googling. He's like, "Do I need
He's
to take
like,
you to a
she's
hospital? Like, what's going on?"
possessed.
Worms.
A break is happening right
Yeah.
now.
Oh my
It's like the
God.
Fairly Odd Parents when the guy goes fairies, but I'm just like worms.
Oh my God,
worms,
Mr.
constantly. Anyway,
Oh my God.
Yeah. So a
Worms,
lot
you
of things
know?
to be afraid of.
Yeah.
Coming into your body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like worms.
I was gonna say there's no good transition.
I
for
know.
my
I was
story
trying to
from
think,
New
I was like,
Jersey.
here's my transition. Well, what scary things come from New Jersey?
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Well, I have a missing
The,
person.
what some people might say, and this is no offense to you,
I come
I've
from
been
New
to
Jersey,
New
so that's
Jersey.
scary.
I've been to New Jersey, and it is beautiful. But I would say that some people would consider it the butthole of America.
Okay, they call it the
you go.
armpit of
Oh, there
America.
you go.
Oh,
So-
okay.
okay.
Sorry.
I have never been to Jersey, but I want to go to Jersey so bad.
It has very beautiful places.
I could see that.
I think I've been to Carlo's Bakery there.
Ooh.
Oh,
once.
Cake Boss?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've never
Yeah.
been, but
I
I
went there
binged that
once.
show. TLC, baby.
Hoboken.
John and I made
Oh,
a,
yeah, I was
made a
gonna say it's
travel-
Hoboken,
made
yeah.
a trek over there
Cool.
just for that.
That's fun.
We were
That is
like,
fun.
let's
be those people.
That's
Yeah.
so fun.
That is cool. This is not fun or cool.
No.
I said it was a missing person. It's actually a murder, but it's an unsolved murder.
Oh.
So we're going to be talking about a girl named Sharon Thor. And Sharon Thor grew up in Franklin Township, New Jersey, with her parents Sonia and Frank, and her 4 brothers Noel, Frank Jr., Stephen, and Chris. So on October 26th, 1982, Sharon was just 5 days away from celebrating her 16th birthday.
Oh, no.
A Halloween and Scorpio queen. Her birthday was like literally on Halloween.
Oh.
Now, it was around 5:30 p.m. and she was getting ready to head out for her first ballet class of the week when the house phone rang. Now, Sharon was like really eager to take this call, and her parents would both later agree that she seemed pleasantly surprised when she picked up. Now, her dad, Frank, was in the living room watching TV, and her mom was also around, so she wanted a little more privacy to take the phone call. So she stepped down into the cellar, and they said she went as far as she could into the cellar to, like, take this call privately.
Very private, yeah.
Super private.
I used to, like, hide in my closet to call people.
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't want my mom to know. Yeah.
Go as far as that cord will take.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
yeah.
but we were, like, landline kids for a while, so
Yeah.
if you heard that extra, like, little click, you were
You
like...
knew someone was on the other line. Yeah.
My mom used to do that. She used to listen in on my phone calls. And one time she caught us, like, prank calling people, and she thought that I was a bully, and I got in trouble.
Oh.
But I wasn't a bully. We were just prank calling.
You're
Right.
It's
It's
like
okay.
childhood innocence.
It's like
yeah.
the classic when you were on AIM and you had to put, like, a PLOS, like, parent looking over shoulder.
Oh, my
God, yes.
Remember that?
I
don't think I ever used that lingo.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
I did. Like,
I didn't know that.
It's like mom's lurking.
My mom's here.
My mom is going to start typing for me. She
And
wants to
mom's
talk
like,
to you.
I can see
yeah.
But yeah, so she really needed some privacy for that phone call. Now, so when she returned, she was already heading out front, and she told her mom that she would be back before it was time to head out to her dance class. So wherever she was going, she would have had to be back within 15 minutes because her dance class was like about to start. So out front, one of Sharon's neighbors, a little kid at the time, he was playing in his front yard, and he would later share what he saw. He said, a white man in his teens or early 20s with dark hair was the driver. He said Sharon got into the front passenger side, and he said he didn't recognize the driver, but remembered that there was something in the back seat obstructing his view, so he couldn't see whether the car had another passenger or not, which is important for later.
Okay.
So remember that. But he described the car as old and dirty. I could find literally, it's like how you couldn't find that lady's name.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a mention of a color, a make, or a model for this car. And it was in 1982. I'm like, why don't we know
Yeah.
this? But he also said that it had a very loud muffler, like it was a loud car. Now, that boy would be among the last people to see Sharon alive.
Oh, wow.
So Sharon never returned home that night. By 6 p.m., her parents, Frank and Sonia, were fully panicked, so they called the police. They actually went down to the police station. And the police told them that since she hadn't been missing for 24 hours yet, there wasn't much they could do.
15.
15,
Yes, a child.
yeah.
15
A
years
literal
old.
child.
And they're like, yeah, she's got to be missing for 24 hours before we do anything. And they were like, you know what? She's probably with friends, or she might have ran away.
The classic.
The classic
yeah.
A runaway.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's like, these people know their kid. It's
Right.
about
Yeah.
to be her birthday. She's literally on her way to a dance class. She's not going
Yeah.
to run away on a random Tuesday.
And even if it is a runaway, it is a child. Like, think about the
Yeah.
horrible things and the people that would take advantage of that situation. See that person walking on the side of the street.
Right.
Know that that person doesn't have the home that they want, that they can easily run
Yeah.
back to, and take advantage. Like,
Do we know why
Exactly.
that 24-hour rule exists? Because I feel like that happens all the time.
So much.
Does
And
it
then they
exist
also say
anymore?
that the first like 36 hours is the most important for a
Right.
missing person.
Now I
Yeah.
think that's changed for kids.
It has.
It's like for
Yeah.
a certain age, but adults it will still get.
It
A lot
gets
of
hairy,
adults
yeah.
will get like the.
true.
I don't know what to tell you. They're an
Yeah.
adult. Like you have to wait.
You know what I did see on Instagram, which I was really happy to see the other day as I was scrolling? The Amber Alert comes in as you're scrolling through
Oh really?
Instagram. Yeah, there was a
Oh,
little
wow.
thing. There was a
Oh.
break in between the photos,
Oh wow.
and it said
Oh,
Amber
that's
Alert for
interesting.
Oh,
this
that's
area
cool.
because I
That's
guess my
crazy.
location is
Wow.
services are on
Oh,
for
wow.
here. Yeah, so that
Oh,
was
that's good to know.
a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because then I feel so bad for her parents too, because it's like she went missing right out of their house.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they just
Yeah.
watched her walk
That's
away.
so
And it's like, and
heartbreaking.
they thought nothing of it because of course she's just like, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Like-
that's the thing. She said she was coming right back.
Yeah.
And like her mom was like, all right, like we got dance. So, you
Yeah.
know, you got to come back.
Oh, that's awful.
And they're like, no, we know our daughter. She wouldn't have run away. She never ditched her ballet lessons. She never wanted to miss out on a lesson. She wouldn't even show up late to dance because dance was a huge part of her life.
Yeah.
She'd been dancing since she was like 4 or 5 years old. So for like over 10 years at that point. And from that time, she'd been going to weekly or sometimes twice weekly classes. She took ballet, tap, and jazz. She made friends with all the other dancers throughout the years, and she had a lot of respect for her instructors. She even actually talked about becoming a dance teacher herself someday and even like having her own studio. So they were like, no way. So,
well, and you said ballet too, right? Which is like extremely disciplined. The people that do that for years, like, they're very, you have to be so serious.
Yeah, they're not like skipping dance classes.
Right.
Like,
No.
You're not just,
like
she not like my like b-boy hip hop, like jazz funk days where I was just doing it for fun.
Right.
Like, whatever.
I was skipping those classes left and right.
But
she was like on point, like literally like on point shoes. And like to get to that point, it takes a while. So she wasn't going to mess this up.
No.
So they were thinking, her parents, and they were like, okay, that actually gives us a glimmer of hope. Maybe Sharon was worried about being late to her class if she came home and kind of like after whatever she was doing. So maybe she got a ride straight to class. Now, it was very unlike her to leave the house without her purse and her hairbrush, which she had done this time. But they were like, maybe it was just because of the chaos before the class.
It's so sad. Obviously, you already told us it's a cold case, so like we know. But it's so sad the rationality that parents are going through in this moment of like,
of course.
You know, she's coming back, and like all of these things that we know are odd, we're just trying to rationalize.
Right. And you could see yourself doing that too.
Yeah.
For like a person you love. You're like, no, like I'll even do that. Like if somebody doesn't answer the phone, I'm like, okay, well, they're probably just like doing this.
Yeah,
or like
exactly.
go through the list of things, you know? So they drive over to the, hopefully I say this right, the Neva McCrimmon School of Dance. It was about 3 miles from their home, but Sharon was nowhere to be found, and they were told that she had not shown up for class. So their hearts sank, but there were still some places they thought they could check. They spent the next few hours driving around to every location she could have been at. They went to McDonald's, little shopping areas where they knew she liked to go. They went to some of her friends' houses to see if they heard from her. And her mom, Sonia, later recalled that night of searching, saying, we went to the dancing school. We went everywhere she knows people, through the whole neighborhood, through all the stores on Easton Avenue, like McDonald's. Nothing, 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 nothing.
Oh.
Each place they went turned out the same. No Sharon, no sign of her. So October 26th, I'm sure, was the longest night of their lives.
Yeah.
After hours spent looking and turning up with nothing, they went home where her 16th birthday gifts were just like sitting neatly wrapped.
detail.
Her parents had bought her a pair of cowboy boots that she'd been eyeing for a while. She like really wanted these boots. They got her a charm for like a bracelet or a necklace. And her mom got her this special frame. It was like white with all these like little flowers glued to it. It was like beautiful. And they blew up a picture of her, a dancing photo of her like on her point shoes and had it framed. So they both stayed up all night long waiting, hoping the door would open, hoping she would mosey in. But something, probably like mother's instinct most likely, was telling Sonia it just wasn't going to happen. So she all of a sudden got a strong urge that night to go into the woods near their home and search for Sharon. And so she actually followed through, and she got the family dog all set up.
Yeah,
I know.
I was like,
We're all just like,
I know.
ripping our forearms now.
Moments ago, I was like, I'm sweating, and now I truly have goosebumps.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, seriously. That's what happened when I first read that. So she has that strong urge. She gets the family dog. They get right to like the outskirts of the woods. And then another voice inside of her was like, do not go in there. So she didn't go in. Now, obviously, we know Sharon did not come home that night. So the family, they have to go back to the police station and be like, okay, can we file a missing persons report now? So luckily, they were able to. And the police wanted to start at the phone call. Who had called Sharon and told her that somebody was waiting out front? Because when I was reading this, I was like, oh, like it must have just been the person outside saying, like, hey, I'm here. But this was the early 80s, so nobody whipped out their iPhone to give her a ring.
Right.
It had to have been somebody at home who knew this other person was heading to her and was actually like pulling up and about to be there for whatever reason. But unfortunately, the police could never trace that call. It's never been traced.
What?
I need to know who that call was.
That's like the main
missing
missing
piece.
links here.
How do they not have those records?
Yeah.
That's
They
so
don't.
confusing.
That's the thing.
I mean, could it be like someone from a phone booth called? Because I feel like, but that's, I don't know.
But even at least they could say like we
Where
traced
that
it and it
phone
was
to
like a
this
phone
place,
booth at this location, right?
And it has to be someone that she knows, right? Because
Yeah.
you
They
wouldn't
have
get
her
a
home
random phone
phone.
call that it's like,
And she knew them. I mean,
I need
she,
a 15-year-old and I have a puppy in my car.
Right.
Come on
Yeah.
out. Like,
And they said that her parents, remember, said that she seemed pleasantly surprised when she picked up the phone. So to me, like my first thought was, this is one of her friends calling her, and this guy outside is somebody she likes.
right. A
Yeah.
crush.
That's what I thought, like a crush,
Right.
exactly. So they can't trace that call at all. The best they could do in the meantime was talk to her friends and people who knew her from school or dance and just continue the search. So So 3 days after she went missing, on October 29th, 1982, Sharon was found. She was found dead in the woods just about a quarter mile away from her home.
And is that where her mom was going?
That wasn't the exact set of woods where she was going.
Okay.
But she
Thank
was onto
God, 'cause
something.
Can you
the woods.
imagine finding your child?
No, absolutely not. This is like a really rough moment, just in case anybody does want to fast forward. She had been found beaten to death, and she was also sexually assaulted. There was a really crude attempt to cover the body, but the weapons used to murder her were a 2x4 and a cinder block, and they were left next to the body, like covered in blood.
My heart
Which
aches
makes
for
me
her.
think that those were also like found in the woods.
Yeah,
like,
right
it
there.
was just,
It's like, what happened here?
Yeah.
Right.
It's there's so many avenues I feel like you can go down with this one, because you're just like, there's so many missing pieces.
Who was that in the car? Who was that on the phone?
Yeah.
What happened?
How did this happen? And this is a
And they
Tuesday.
you pick up someone in your car, but then only drive a quarter mile away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or
And
did
it's
you
like-
drive somewhere else and then bring her back?
Right.
When did things happen? Where did things happen?
Right.
And she was expecting to be home before dance class.
Yeah,
which
that's
was
15 minutes,
15
right?
This was quick, 15 minutes, exactly.
So it's like, what happened here?
Right. So an autopsy was done, and it determined that she had died from blunt force trauma to the head and face. There were multiple fractures to her head and skull and her ribs, and the medical examiner believed that she'd been killed sometime around 6:30 that night. So just an hour after she had left her house.
Wow. And I mean, it's pitch black at that point too.
Yeah,
6:30
it's
feels so
October,
early.
yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
this is
But
what,
it is
October
dark.
Yep.
Yeah.
30th
Late
or
October.
31st.
Yeah.
It might
29th.
as well be the middle of the night.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So it was really brutal to find her like that.
That's so sad.
So the section of woods where she'd been found was actually like a party spot for local kids. People rode dirt bikes there. Some people hunted like a little bit further into the area, but mostly the area where she was found was known for its notorious parties. Like this is where kids kind of gathered in the woods and did what they wanted to do.
As someone from New Jersey, I can confirm that is what we did growing
Woods
up.
parties.
Yeah.
We did those a ton growing up too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But so when Sonia first heard the news about her daughter, she immediately felt like Sharon was not killed by a stranger. Although the area where she'd been found was popular among locals, Sonia said, where Sharon was found, if I drop you in the neighborhood, you have no idea how to get there. Like it's like kind of a weird spot. And the way into the woods is marked with tons of signs about no trespassing. Technically, no cars are even supposed to go down that road, but like teenagers would all the time.
Right.
Which only led Sonia to believe that whoever did this to her daughter was somebody who had been there before in that clearing and knew their way around.
This is definitely someone who knows her.
There's
Yes.
no way it's
Definitely.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you've told us so far
Yeah.
is just adding up to someone that she knows.
she didn't come across
Yeah.
a stranger.
No.
in
Right.
in that hour.
In that hour.
Since
Right.
she left her
No.
house
Right.
with someone she clearly knew.
And she got into whoever was in that car, she knew them. And
Yes.
she was excited to get that phone call, which leads me even more to believe like it's somebody she liked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So rumors immediately, of course, started circulating in town about who could have done this. And the Franklin Police Department got to work right away after finding her. And there were a ton of officers assigned to this particular case, over a dozen officers. Now, in the first week alone, over 85 people were interviewed, and some were identified as people of interest, but there wasn't anybody that really caught their attention enough to become a suspect. So they were able to speak with some of Sharon's friends and classmates, but there were a lot of people who couldn't talk because they were teenagers at the time and their parents didn't want them to get involved. Which Alaina and I had a discussion about this because I was like, I don't know, like I would want my kid to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like, because I was thinking about it and I was like, yeah, I would want my kid to talk if they were like, they knew something.
Yeah.
But I think this is why like parents need to talk to their kids and have like open lines
Open
of
dialogue.
communication.
Yeah.
Because it's like these parents could have talked to their kids and been like, okay, like, do you know something? Like, do you
Right.
know, not something about the murder, but like, do you know who she was talking to? Was there anything weird
Right.
going on? Like, was there new kids in your group? Did she like someone? Like, you could start asking these questions and have your kid talk to you and be like, you know what? Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
I remember this. And then you go down and
Yeah.
you talk to the police together and you say, you know, like,
Ever read the book Defending Jacob? Yeah.
no.
I
It's
know
a-
that book. I haven't read
It's
it
a
though.
local author to Boston, but it basically like deals with exactly this. It's a fictional book, but it's
Oh, that's
about
funny.
like a high school kid
Yeah.
who goes missing and kind of like shows the difficult relationships between the law enforcement, the parents, and the children, and trying to
Yeah.
figure out what
Well, I
happens.
mean, if
Does
you-
a good job illustrating it.
If
for
you
sure.
think about it, like I'm terrified of police right now. Like even getting pulled over, I have that fear.
Yeah.
And just thinking about being like a 15-year-old talking to a police officer, like I would just be so intimidated.
Exactly. Yeah. And I wouldn't want to put my kid
in that position.
Right. But I'd want to be helpful to the investigation. So it's like, talk to your kid first. And if you've established that with your kid, then they're going to talk to you.
Right. But then also, like, there's obviously this looming threat to all of the kids in high school, all the other 15-year-olds. Like, what if they do know something, but they don't want to be the next person and they're threatened? Their family's threatened.
The police now. And it's like, try to get it from them first. And, you know, but this was also the 80s. When talking to your teenager was not exactly like, they weren't like, wow, you should have open lines of communication. It was like, shut up.
Yeah.
You're a kid.
The thing about this case, though, with the parents, like, not letting their kids talk, I feel like, I don't think it's, like, the case for all of the parents, but I think there had to have been somebody who was, like, covering something up here.
Somebody knows something.
Well, definitely. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But in this case, I'm like, which one of, like, maybe not her friends, but even, like, an acquaintance or a new set of friends or something like that, somebody knew something.
Yeah.
But the parents didn't want them to get involved. Sharon's brothers actually heard rumors themselves and even confronted somebody who they believed could have been responsible or knew who was, but that person vehemently denied having anything to do with her death or knowing anything about it. And after that, the case pretty much went cold. Until 2009, when the case was actually reopened. And this is, you would think this is where we get some clarity. This only makes everything more confusing and like places darkness on other things. So the case was reopened due to the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office receiving new information. When the case was reopened, it came out that the car which picked up Sharon actually had 2 males inside. The driver and there was another passenger. I don't know how they were able to confirm this. I have no idea. It's just new information that came forward. Both men were said to have been from around the Franklin Township area, and the police said that they were at least acquainted with Sharon before her death. So they knew who she was.
Right.
And she
Which we kind of presumed.
Yeah. It has to be the case.
Yeah.
So when this information was released, the prosecutor also announced that they were seeking DNA from one particular suspect who is repped by a defense lawyer, Sharon Ransavage. Now, the weird thing is, though, it's unclear if they ever got that DNA because on the day of the hearing, the judge didn't show up to court.
What?
Didn't show up to court, and his clerk said that he was, like, in another town and he wouldn't be coming back that day, and the hearing would need to be rescheduled. Now, I didn't see anything about this hearing ever getting rescheduled.
How the hell does that happen?
That's what leads me to believe there's some kind of cover-up going on in this case.
This reminds me of, Corinne, you told me about this podcast, the one about like the couple that was murdered in New Jersey, and then it was like all of the people in the government were involved. What was that called?
Oh God, I have no idea.
You even you told me to listen to it, and I started listening to it, and it literally happened in Skillman, which is the town I grew up, a couple streets away from where I grew up, and I had no idea.
Oh my gosh.
I'll see if I can figure it out.
But that's the judge not showing up to court and then them being like, oh yeah, it's going to be rescheduled. And then I scoured the internet and couldn't find anything about this being reopened at all.
Which is so scary how much, like when you think of an inside job, it's so scary to think of how many people that involves that are actively working against you. And like, how do you as a parent or you as a community feel any bit of hope of moving anything forward? Everybody is covering this up.
It's like the West Memphis 3 case.
It is, yeah.
It's like it keeps going.
I know, it's so sad.
It's just so strange to me. So to this day, nobody has been held responsible for the murder of 15-year-old Sharon Thor.
So sad.
Her father, Frank, passed away in 2007. And the last I saw, her mom, Sonia, was in her 80s. And she said she refused to die until she knew what happened to her daughter and who killed her. So from everything I read, I'm pretty sure this case is still open, and the last I saw, it was being handled by the Major Crimes Squad of the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office. And I do know that Crime Stoppers is offering a $5,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest. So
there's people know something, and someone is going to reach a point in their life where the guilt is just too much, and they are going to say something.
That's what I think has to happen here. And hopefully we're nearing that point because it's been like a while since this happened. But
to add really quickly, the podcast is called Dead End, and it's literally in Somerset.
Oh my God.
So Somerset County it's pretty big, but it is
okay.
Yeah.
But clearly this is kind of like to put like the GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, like they are in every podcast where it's like they fumble the bag, and I feel like this is another example
definitely
of this one specific place,
and
Somerset.
That's the thing, like if that's happened there already, I'm like, I don't know,
there's some cover up,
something's going on. But anybody with information is asked to contact the Crime Stoppers tip line. The number is 888-577-TIPS, which is 8477, and it says
we'll put that in the show notes too.
Perfect. And it says citizens can also go online to a website that we will put in the show notes and click give tips, and then there's a couple other links I can give you to put in the show notes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But such a sad case.
So
she was
sad.
so brutally beaten, and nobody has been held responsible.
Like willingly left her house.
Yeah.
And
Right
that
before.
That
happened.
breaks
Like,
my heart.
Right before her 16th birthday.
If they know who these or say that they know or think that they know who these two people were in the car, like what are these people saying?
Yeah.
Right. That's the
why
thing.
did they pick her up? Why can't they trace the freaking phone call?
Yeah, that's true.
Why can't they trace the phone call?
And then now at this point, like, do they even have those records or the ability to pull those?
Yeah,
again,
That's
you know?
what I was thinking. But then also did they get DNA from that person?
Right.
Because that's what the hearing was for. And then from what I saw, it wasn't rescheduled.
And then it just
and they said hopefully they could find some kind of DNA on the murder weapons.
Because they were left behind.
They were left behind.
Wow.
And they said like whoever was holding those was holding them tightly because they were using them so aggressively.
Right.
So it's like some kind of DNA has to be on something.
It does make me wonder too what the initial intention was of picking her up, because it sounds like something happened where this wasn't necessarily a planned murder, like something went wrong, because otherwise why would you leave all that evidence where like you could have been ID'd physically, your car could have been ID'd, you got really lucky that the phone call was never traced back to you, like there was so much evidence that could have been there,
right?
And so it sounds like there was something else happened.
Because you also imagine she probably had to tell these people, hey, I only have 50 minutes.
Right.
Like,
I
got
gotta get headed to dance.
So they're not going to like carry out this planned murder in that amount of time. So you feel like something else was planned then and it went wrong.
Maybe, I mean, she was sexually assaulted. Maybe somebody made a move and she said no thank you, and that's where it escalated.
The anger.
I could see that happening.
That was my initial thought.
Yeah. And the two men thing being in the car, just like my brain runs to like the worst possible thing.
Yeah.
But
I know, because we were thinking of like the Shanda Cher kind of case where somebody was hiding in the car and she didn't realize there was that many people in the car.
And that's the other thing. I'm like, was this like an attack, and it was just poorly planned with like the phone call and everything, because that little kid said there was something obstructing his view into the back seat. So was that placed there intentionally?
Right.
And did she know this person in the back seat and they attacked her?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, and you said that this was in a neighborhood too. So, like, did any of the neighbors hear anything?
Right.
Families? Like, I would assume that there would be some sort of noise, because given how she died, there had to have been some sort of like scuffle and whatnot. So,
and I do feel sad because like this kid who saw the car, it's like I'm sure he's, mad at himself for not writing down what specifically that car is.
Right.
And it makes me think of like Corinne truly has like a notes in her phone of like anytime there's something suspicious, like writes down the make and model and like the license plate of cars and everything.
The amount of license plates in my phone. I'm
like,
like,
oh yeah. Literally, like if a car slows down in front of a construction site, I write down the make and model, because I'm like, if they find a body at that construction site, I know who was really creepily looking. Yes.
There you go.
That's smart.
We're nosy neighbors.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
best possible way.
The best kind of witnesses.
I'm such a nosy neighbor. I know everything about my neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah. You're a good neighbor to have.
Yeah. Honestly.
We're moving in.
Best kind of neighbor.
Exactly.
We'll feel safe. Yeah.
It's true. My neighbors are the same way. They know everything that's going on, and I know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
We're all just like, we're in this together.
I remember the first time I pulled onto your street, like everybody was looking out their windows, and I was like, did they know me? No, I'm just kidding.
They're like, writing down your license plate number.
Safety, that's so important.
Yeah.
If it's a strange, like, I think it was like when you would like changed cars.
Yep.
And they were all like, what's this new car coming down here?
I was like, oh my gosh. I love that.
Yeah, it's the best.
There was, where I'm from in Vermont, the crime rate is so incredible. incredibly low. But when I was living at home for a few months during the very beginning of the pandemic, one of the neighbors, their car kept going off the alarm in the middle of the night.
Ooh.
I'd wake up my parents. I would go with like my binoculars. I'm like
love it.
watching for 30 minutes in the darkness. I'm like,
Neighborhood
they have
watch
little
Corinne.
kids. Like if someone is creeping through their yard, I am there. Like
I've got
I
them.
am ready.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And then they didn't wake up. They didn't care. They were like, oh, it's no big deal. And we solved the case 48 hours later.
Raccoons?
No, there was a
Oh.
mouse in their truck.
Oh my
I'm
God.
gonna call the cops.
I was like,
It's very
oh man,
Vermont.
I've been living in the city way too long. I'm like,
There's a
there's
mouse
a
in my
murder
truck.
about to happen. Like, I'm gonna catch them.
And they're like, nah, it's just a
It
mouse.
doesn't
I'm
matter.
like, no, it's
It's
just a
cool.
mouse.
It's
just
And
Fred.
nesting in the truck, the hot truck. I'm like, oh God, I forgot what it's like out here in the farm country.
Yeah. Well, I hope that some information comes out on this
Yeah,
case.
me too.
And that there's some resolve for this poor Sonia, like in her 80s, just like.
I know.
Just waiting to find out.
As
what
As a
happened.
mother, I mean, like, I'm not a mother, but like I can imagine, like as a mom, like you just
Oh, I couldn't
your heart and
fathom it.
soul,
No
yeah,
way. No way.
so heartbreaking.
Well, and this is one of the interesting things with like social media and podcasting and all of these people re-looking into cases and
Yeah.
giving extra attention to these
Yeah.
cases that are otherwise, I guess, ignored or left because there's
Yeah.
no additional evidence. Like
Right.
there's the opportunity for someone to listen and be like, wait a second, I was visiting my aunt and uncle when that happened.
Yeah.
And now
I
I'm
saw
starting
this.
to
Right.
realize, yes, exactly.
But like I left 2 days later, so I didn't know that anything
like, wait a
wild had
second.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's true.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's so sad though.
It is. Yeah.
yeah.
New Jersey, man. The armpit of America.
Yeah, there you go.
No,
The
I'm
butthole
kidding.
of
The butthole. The itchy
butthole.
butthole. No, I'm sorry. New Jersey is beautiful. There's so many deer there.
Yeah, I don't
Oh.
get offended just because I mean, like, I'm not gonna go live back in New Jersey. So
Well,
you
and
can
also
call it whatever
everyone
you want to call it.
who thinks of New Jersey, like everybody thinks of the same place in New
Yeah.
Jersey. which is-
Newark, New Jersey, yeah, which is all like
Yes,
industrial.
like,
yeah,
Exactly. On your way to the airport.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But if you want to see New Jersey for real, go to like Princeton and Cape May. Those are my two favorite places.
Yeah, so
All right,
beautiful.
Good to know.
The
Yeah.
Pine Barrens. Maybe you'll see.
Don't
a
go to the
cryptid
Pine
or
Barrens.
two.
Pine Barrens is like that's
That's
the
like
Jersey Devil territory.
right?
That's also like Italian mafia body grounds.
Scarier than a cryptid.
Yeah, yeah, much
Yeah.
scarier
I'll
than a
face
There are a
cryptid.
lot
Jersey
of
Devil
humans
was
that
like
are a
that.
lot scarier than any
Yeah.
That's true.
paranormal entity we've talked
Yes.
about.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank
This was
you.
so fun.
Thank
This
you.
was
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much
Fun.
Finally.
And the best thing is that there is a part 2, so you can go listen to that on Morbid.
Yes.
Woo!
See you soon.
Go team.
We do end our episodes when we go, we'll see you on the other side, but we Corinne will say it normally and then we whisper it. Do you want to whisper it?
Yes.
So I'll say we will, and then together you guys will whisper, "See you on the other side," and I'll just say it right normal.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so
Oh, I like
excited.
this.
And I'm
Ready?
excited to see what you do with your eyes because I never know what to do. Like I'm like, who
Oh,
do
now
I
don't
look
know
at?
what to do.
Yeah.
Shifty eyed, just
Yeah.
awkward.
Look
Everyone
at
close-
everybody.
Close your
Close
eyes.
I'm
Close
gonna
your
look at
eyes.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a twitchy little mouse.
All right.
Okay. We will see you on the other
Way too fast. I was like, see you on the other
side. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was like possessed.
You really
Love
felt
that.
it. I was
Love
like
us.
full theater kid in that moment.
I was.
All right.
Very spooky.